Vyas, good morning. What's the sense you're getting between, the last time we spoke to you and now? Are there any signs of a pickup in the investment cycle?
Well, the headline numbers do show that there's some pickup in the sense that the total new investments that were announced in the quarter that ended September showed a substantial increase. We saw 3.5 trillion rupees worth of new investments being announced by government and private, and this is much higher than what we have seen in the preceding several quarters. So in that sense, there is a pickup, but there's a big asterisk mark against that, which says that it's not all that beautiful.
Which is?
So a large part of this new investment comes from one big investment show in Tamil Nadu, which usually has a large number of these announcements coming in, whether it is in Gujarat or in Tamil Nadu or in any other state. So when this happens, there is usually a blip. So if you correct for the blip, there isn't much on the table really.
That was what I was coming to.
The second thing...
Yeah. Mr. Vyas, if you correct for the blip, then what does the number look like, since you are a practiced eye at this?
It doesn't look very nice. No, it's not very good, not very great. It's been a long wait hoping for an investment pickup to happen, or a substantial one. Even the one that I see over here has got a few other problems. For example, while the value of investments is high over here, the number of projects that have been announced in this quarter is low. So we have got a fall in the total number of projects that have been announced in the last quarter. So there isn't so much of confidence, really speaking, on the new investments coming up yet.
Can you give us the numbers? How many projects have been announced in the last quarter and how much lower is it?
So what we have seen is less than 500 projects being announced in the last quarter. That's really very low. And even in the preceding quarters, we have seen of the order of 600, 700 projects. Of course, in the boom time, there used to be close to 1,500 projects being announced in a quarter. So this is really 1/3 of what boom times are. They're quite low.
Okay. Well, let me come to the other...
The other thing about these new...
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So the other thing that I noticed in the numbers that we compiled a few days ago is that there are a few investments which are not very clear, but we have counted them. So you have one big television LCD fabrication project, which is quite large, but they are not clear where they're going to set it up as yet. So what we are counting is also kind of hazy and unclear investment.
This 3.5 trillion compares to what number in the previous year, or is it quarterly?
It's quarterly.
Yeah, so in the previous quarter, what did the tally?
In the preceding quarter, it was 2.5. So it had gone down, of course, a year ago. It was much lower, but it hasn't grown much beyond 1.5 to 2.5 trillion. So 3.5 trillion is really a big number, but behind that, the projects are still too weak. They're not as strong. They don't instill confidence. One third of the investments is in Tamil Nadu. 2/3 are in just Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. So there isn't much investment in the country then.
Okay. The other index that you track is the stalled projects index. How is the implementation of stalled projects progressing? Has that number come down?
So in the quarter ended September, there was an increase in the project stalled. So we have seen a worsening of the situation in investments in that sense. Two large steel projects have been stalled. And there are about 70 projects that went out and said that our implementation is stalled. They're not abandoned, mind you, but they have stalled their investments. They're saying that we are not going to progress on this. Situation doesn't look very good.
So two large steel projects have been stalled. What about the other stressed sector, power generation? Is there any recovery at all that you've seen over there, or are there higher amount of stalled projects there as well?
No, there's nothing new which is alarming on the power project as yet. So there's a shipyard project that has gone down. There are a few other projects, but these are the big ones. So power projects have not made headlines this time for getting stalled or abandoned.
If you have to give a sectoral view of even the expansions or the unstalling of projects, where is there any joy? Are you seeing something in road projects which is heartwarming, or power projects or power transmission projects? Where is the sectoral hope?
I think I'll be torturing the data too much to speak to say there is joy anywhere.
Okay.
So no, there isn't any joy anywhere, really speaking. So the largest investment has gone to electronics.
Okay.
And so Foxconn has announced some big investment, but they're still hunting for a place to do that in Maharashtra. And the other one was the television Vedanta project, which is also in electronics. And this is all in response to the Prime Minister's or the government's announcement of Digital India. So some companies go out and say, okay, we will manufacture some LCD fabrication plant, somebody will make something else. So it's in response to these big events. So if you remove this, then all the joy goes away, and this doesn't give much joy anyway.
But one of the big hurdles, we've been speaking for so many years now, and the biggest hurdle has been the land acquisition issue, and of course also environment clearances. A couple of months back, the government was making some effort to sort of clear that hurdle or speed up the land acquisition problems. Has there been any resolve to that, or is that still one of the biggest reasons why projects are getting stalled?
Well, now you don't exactly hear a person complaining of land acquisition and environmental clearances as much. So new things have come up, and they all actually need to be traced back to something else. So somebody says that, okay, we are not interested in this project anymore, but they don't say why. Or somebody says that, we've got a funds problem, but the funds problem reflects maybe a land problem or a delay in an environmental clearance problem. Once you have so many delays, you get a funding problem as well. So now I think we're getting into an era where there's a confounding. There is a complicated pyramid of problems piling up one over the other, and it's difficult then to say which one is the prime reason for projects getting stalled. So it isn't so linear anymore. It's more like a pyramidal structure of problems. And I don't see them getting resolved.
Okay.
So, one more thing is that we have on paper projects worth about 7 trillion rupees, which are scheduled to get completed this year. So last year there were about 8 or 8.5 trillion rupees worth of projects that are scheduled to get completed. I mean, they have made progress and they should get completed, but less than half get completed. So I think there's something going on which is still holding up the investment cycle from picking up.
Okay, the markets, or for that matter, India Inc. has been clinging to two data points. One, that the government's capex April to August has shown a remarkable increase over the comparable period last year, as well that a lot of road projects have actually been bid out. How would you tackle both these? Any government investments that you can see, and for that matter, road projects?
So the capex service will not show this up too much because the roads projects were announced quite some time back. They are under implementation. They were supposed to spend money on that and give out contracts, and those contracts are being given out now. So this is progress.
Okay.
But the data that we compile will not show this up. And similarly, when the government spends on capex, they are for projects announced earlier.
Okay.
So what is measurable in our system is that A, when do you announce a project, B, when do you complete a project, or if it gets stalled in between. Okay. So there's hope in the government spending money, roads projects being bid out. So there is hope over there, but that doesn't show up in the numbers till they get commissioned.
And in the completion run rate, you don't see any improvement? What were the numbers in the completion run rate in the September quarter vis-a-vis previous quarter?
No, it's unfair to look at that number because it's still too early. The information comes with a little lag. So if you look at the numbers now, they look depressingly low, but that's misleading.
All right. Mr. Vyas, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for bringing some much-needed color and reality check into what one thought was an improving or at least less deteriorating capital expansion situation, things still have a way to go before they actually start showing capital expansion. At the moment, the Sensex and the Nifty are not able to make much headway at all. It's just about a 0.2%, a quarter percentage point uptick, in spite of a fairly big rally we saw both on Wall Street and in some Asian markets. Mid-caps also a little better than the Sensex and the Nifty, but the Bank Nifty is dragging the whole thing down. Advanced declines are